I've been married to Emily for almost 8 years now. We met in college, hit it off right away, and I honestly thought we were solid. She was smart, confident, a little bitchy sometimes, but who is? We had our ups and downs, but I always believed she was faithful. That was until recently. Things started feeling off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. She was acting weird, secretive, avoiding my eyes, canceling plans last minute. Nothing obvious, but enough to make me suspicious. It all started a few weeks ago after an alumni fundraiser at her college. I didn't go. I wasn't feeling well that night, had a migraine, and she told me she'd be home early, said she was discussing her PhD application with her old professors. Typical Emily, she loves to spin stories, always somehow making herself the victim. She said she was meeting her advisor, Professor Adams, to talk about her future, and I believed her at first. She always claimed she was busy, ambitious, and I never thought much about it. But then I started noticing small things that didn't add up. Her phone started acting strange, more locked screens, odd messages she'd quickly hide when I was near. She was more secretive about her schedule, and little things like her perfume smell lingering in her clothes even days after supposedly seeing her advisor. I shrugged it off at first, convincing myself maybe I was just paranoid. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. Last week, I decided to check her phone. Nothing crazy, just a quick glance. I saw a message from her friend Lisa, asking how the meeting with Adams went. The reply was vague, but the tone was odd, like she was hiding something. Then I found a receipt from a nearby hotel paid for with her card. It was for a room booked late at night, right after the fundraiser. I didn't need much more. My stomach sank. I just knew she was lying. I didn't confront her immediately. I waited, trying to piece everything together, but the evidence was stacking up. I even looked up the security footage from the fundraiser's security cameras, my heart pounding, hoping I'd be wrong, and I was. I saw her go into that office with Professor Adams. They stayed way past the time I left, and from what I could see, they didn't just talk about her PhD. The footage showed them kissing, then more. I saw her actually going into his office, closing the door behind her. That moment hit like a punch in the gut. I felt a cold wave of betrayal I'd never imagined possible. Emily, the woman I trusted, the woman I loved, was cheating on me with her college professor, someone she claimed was just helping her with her academic future. Yet the footage told a completely different story. I watched her betraying me, laughing with him, touching him like she was desperate for his attention. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind, so naive. I sat there in my apartment, staring at the screen, feeling the weight of it all crushing me. How could she lie so effortlessly? How could she betray me like that after everything? The anger started bubbling up, hot, intense, almost uncontrollable. I wanted to break something, to scream at her, but I stayed quiet. I needed to think. I needed to decide what to do next. This wasn't just about finding out she cheated. It was about the trust, the years we built, and the fact that she'd been sneaking around behind my back, lying through her teeth. The woman I'd loved, the woman I thought I knew, was apparently capable of sleeping with her professor, someone who was supposed to be her mentor and a respected figure in her life. The worst part, I knew I couldn't keep this to myself. I had to confront her, but I didn't know how or when. I just knew that everything had changed forever. And now I was standing at a crossroads, trying to figure out if I could even still trust her, or if I should just cut my losses and walk away. Would you like me to continue with the next part? The day after I saw everything on that footage, I was a mess. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and my mind kept circling back to what I'd seen. I kept telling myself I wasn't going to jump to conclusions, that maybe I was overreacting, but deep inside, I knew the truth. There was no denying it anymore. Emily had lied to me about her meeting, and she was sleeping with her professor. I stared at my phone, debating whether I should call her or just wait. Part of me wanted to confront her right then. But another part, the cowardly part, was terrified of what I might hear. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and honestly, I was furious. I never thought I'd be in this position, questioning my marriage and feeling like I'd been played for a fool. Finally, I decided I had to talk to her. I called her and she answered on the third ring. Her voice was casual, almost too casual. "Hey babe," she said, like everything was normal. I wanted to scream, but I kept my voice steady. "Where are you?" I asked. She hesitated before replying, "At work." "Why?" I didn't buy it. I told her I knew she'd been lying about her meeting with Adams and that I had proof. Silence on the other end. Then she started with the usual bullshit, denying everything, claiming I'd misunderstood, that they were just discussing her PhD, which she said was completely innocent. She called me paranoid, insecure, and said I was overreacting. I could hear the defensiveness in her voice, like she was trying to convince herself more than me. I told her I saw the footage. I told her I knew about the hotel. Her tone changed instantly. She got bitchy, like she was annoyed I found out, like I was the one ruining her life. She said I was crazy, that I was imagining things, that I was jealous and insecure. She even had the nerve to tell me I was overreacting because she was still technically married to me, and that I didn't own her. That was the moment I lost it. I told her I wasn't going to sit around and be humiliated any longer. I told her I wanted her to come home and talk face to face, but she refused. She said she had more important things to do and that I was taking this too far. That's when I realized she had no intention of stopping her affair or even trying to save what we had. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, feeling numb. I kept replaying the video, the images burned into my brain. The betrayal cut deep. I'd always been a guy who believed in honesty and loyalty, and now I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. The woman I loved, the woman I thought loved me back, had been screwing. Her professor lying to my face and making me doubt everything about us. My mind raced. I thought about what this meant for my future. Did I want to save this marriage? Could I forgive her? Or was this the kind of betrayal that couldn't be fixed? The anger was still there, but underneath it, there was a profound sadness I couldn't shake. I kept asking myself how she could do this, to me, to us. As the hours ticked by, I knew I had to make a decision. Regardless of what I wanted to believe, the trust was broken, maybe forever. I realized I couldn't just pretend I hadn't seen what I saw, that I hadn't heard her lies. It was clear she had no intention of stopping, no remorse, and no respect for what we once had. In the end, I decided I'd confront her again, but this time with a plan. I wasn't going to let her twist her way out of it anymore. I needed her to face the reality of what she'd done, and I needed to figure out if I could truly forgive her, or if I should start planning my exit. This was just the beginning of what I knew would be a long, painful process, but I wasn't going to let her ruin me without a fight, not without showing her that I wasn't some naive idiot anymore. I deserved better than betrayal, and I was going to take control of my life again. Do you want me to keep going with the next part? The next morning, I woke up early, still feeling that heavy weight in my chest. I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was normal. I needed to hear her side, or at least get some clarity, but I also knew I couldn't just keep taking her words at face value. Whatever she said, I was already prepared for her to lie again, to spin some bullshit lie to save her ass. I wasn't going to be played anymore. I texted her that I wanted to talk, that it was urgent. She responded quickly, saying she was at work and didn't have time. I pressed her to come home after her shift. When she finally arrived, she was her usual bitchy self, rolling her eyes, acting like I was the one overreacting. "You're making a big deal out of nothing," she snapped as she threw her bag down. I looked at her, dead serious. I told her I knew everything, the hotel receipt, the footage, the lies. Her face twitched like she hadn't expected me to be so direct. That's when she started getting defensive, claiming she didn't cheat, that I was just paranoid and jealous. She even accused me of spying on her, like I was some kind of stalker. Her words were sharp, her tone biting, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I told her I had proof. That I saw her go into his office with my own eyes, on camera, no less. Her eyes flickered, her jaw tight, but she still insisted it was all a misunderstanding. She said she was just helping him with her PhD, that they were discussing academic stuff, and that I was just imagining things. She called me insecure, said I was controlling, like some jealous husband from the old days. That made me furious. I told her I wasn't going to listen to her bullshit anymore. I told her I'd gotten enough evidence, enough lies, and I deserved the truth. I said if she was having an affair, I wanted her to admit it right then and there. She looked at me, eyes narrowing, then smirked. You really think I'd cheat on you? You're so insecure, it's pathetic. I stood there feeling every ounce of my anger boiling over. You're lying, I said. I saw you, I saw what you did, and I don't care what excuses you come up with. I want to know the truth, Emily. Did you sleep with him? She looked at me, her smile fading just a little, then she shrugged. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Honestly, I don't see what it's your business anymore. You're just a boring guy who couldn't satisfy me anyway. That's when I realized I'd reached the point of no return. Her bitchy attitude, her lies, her dismissiveness, they all confirmed what I'd suspected. She didn't love me anymore, not really. She was just using me, stringing me along, trying to make me doubt myself. But I knew her game now. She was manipulative, selfish, and she didn't want to take responsibility for what she'd done. I told her it was over, that I wasn't going to be part of her lies anymore. I said I was done, that I was leaving. She scoffed, told me I was overreacting, and then she threw her phone at me, telling me I was a controlling idiot if I thought I could just walk away. But I didn't care. I'd made up my mind. As I packed some clothes, I felt a strange mix of relief and pain. I'd lost my wife, my partner in life, and it hurt like hell. But at the same time, I felt like I'd finally taken control. No more lies, no more betrayal. The trust was shattered beyond repair, and I refused to stay in a lie. That night, I slept alone for the first time in years, feeling the emptiness but also a strange sense of clarity. I knew I had to face the reality of ending this marriage, and I knew I had to start rebuilding myself from scratch. I kept thinking about how I'd been blindsided, how I'd given her everything and she'd thrown it all away for some affair with her professor. I knew it was going to be a long road. But I also knew I wouldn't be some fool anymore. I was done being her pawn, her fool, her idiot. I'd learn from this. I'd heal. And somehow I'd move on. I just had to find the strength. Would you like me to continue with the next part? The days that followed were a blur of emotion, anger, sadness, confusion. I threw myself into work trying to keep my mind busy, but every time I was alone, the image of her with Adams haunted me. I kept replaying what I saw on the footage, trying to process how someone I loved could do this to me. I kept asking myself what I did wrong, but deep down, I knew this wasn't about me. It was about her choices. I reached out to a few friends, guys I trust, to talk about what happened. I needed someone to tell me I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't overreacting. Surprisingly, they all agreed Emily had crossed a line. They told me I deserved better, that I should take my time and think about what I really wanted. But even with that support, it still hurt, and I still felt lost. One thing I knew for sure was I couldn't stay in that apartment alone with her stuff still there. It felt like her presence was still hanging over me, like I was stuck in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. So I rented a small place nearby, just to get some space, some clarity. I needed to breathe, to think without her in the same space, throwing her attitude around as if she still owned me. When I finally moved out, I felt a strange sense of relief mixed with heartbreak. Moving my things out was a brutal reminder of what I'd lost, but it also felt like I was finally taking control. I'd spent so many nights wondering what I'd done wrong, why she'd betrayed me, but I realized it wasn't about me. It was about her selfishness, her desire for excitement, her need to feel wanted by someone else. I confronted her one last time before I left, just to get some answers. I stood in her apartment looking her in the eyes and asked her why she did it. She rolled her eyes, scoffing. I was bored, she said flatly. You were predictable, and honestly, you're too boring for me. I needed something more exciting. She said it like I was just some obstacle she had to get past, like her betrayal was justified because she was entitled to her fun. That comment made my blood boil. I told her she was selfish, that she threw away everything we built because she was too vain or too stupid to see what she had with me. She just shrugged, daring me to say anything else. That was the moment I realized she didn't respect me anymore, and she didn't care. She was just a bitchy little girl who wanted her way, no matter what it cost. As I walked out of her place for the last time, I felt a strange mix of relief and despair. I knew I'd lost her, but I also knew I was finally free of her manipulations. I wasn't going to be her punching bag, her fool anymore. I deserved someone who valued me, who wouldn't cheat and lie to my face. I'd been broken, but I was still standing. Now I'm in this new place trying to rebuild my life. It's not easy. Some days I feel like I'll never trust again. I keep thinking about all the times I overlooked her bitchy attitude, her lies, her constant need for validation. I realize now that I was too blind to see what was really happening beneath the surface, but I also know I can't stay stuck in this pain forever. The biggest lesson I've learned from all this is that honesty and respect matter more than anything. If your partner cheats or lies, it's a betrayal that cuts deep but also a wake-up call. You don't have to accept being a fool, settling for someone who doesn't value you. I'm still healing, still trying to figure out what's next, but I know I won't let her betrayal define me. I'll come out of this stronger, more cautious, and maybe someday I'll find someone who actually deserves my trust. Would you like me to keep going with the next part? It's been a few weeks since I moved out, and honestly, I've gone through every possible emotion. Some days I wake up furious, hating her for what she's done. Other days I feel crushed, wondering if I'll ever trust anyone again. But mostly, I've been trying to focus on myself. I started hitting the gym, reconnecting with some friends I'd neglected, and even studying for a new certification to take my mind off everything. The funny thing is, the more I focus on rebuilding myself, the clearer it becomes that I was in a toxic relationship for way too long. Emily never really appreciated me. She was always bitchy, dismissive, and manipulative, and I just let it slide because I thought love was enough. Now, I see how much I allowed her to take me for granted. I let her walk all over me, and I stayed quiet because I didn't want the conflict. But that's over now. I've started to realize what I want from life, what I need in a partner. Someone who's honest, respectful, and who values what I bring to the table. I don't want someone who cheats, lies, or treats me like I'm invisible. I deserve better. That realization is both freeing and terrifying. It's terrifying because I'm starting over at almost 40, and I hate the feeling of being alone after all the years of marriage. But it's also freeing because I finally see my worth. Every so often, I think about what I'd say if she came back, begging for forgiveness. Honestly, I'd tell her to go to hell. I don't want her back, not after everything. I don't want to be with someone who lies, manipulates, and treats me like I'm nothing. I've learned that I should have stood up for myself sooner, but better late than never. One thing I've come to accept is that sometimes love isn't enough to keep a marriage alive. Respect and honesty are what truly matter. If those are broken, then the relationship is already dead. I've seen how her bitchy attitude, her lies, and her selfishness tore us apart. No matter how much I wanted to believe in her good side, her actions proved otherwise. I've also learned that revenge isn't the answer. I won't ruin her life because she ruined mine. That's not who I am. I want to focus on healing, on moving forward. I've realized that the only person I can truly control is myself. I can't change her. I can't make her see what she's done. All I can do is decide how I respond. And right now, that response is to cut her out of my life completely and rebuild from the ground up. So, I'm choosing to focus on me. I want to be happy again, to find someone who appreciates me for who I am. I know it won't happen overnight, and I'll probably carry scars for a long time, but I also know I'm stronger than I thought. I won't let this betrayal define me. I'll learn from it, grow from it, and come out better. I guess if there's one thing I'd want others to take from this, it's that you don't have to accept being cheated on or lied to. You deserve honesty and respect, and if someone can't give you that, then walk away. Trust me, it's hard, but it's better than staying in a toxic mess. Be brave, be honest with yourself, and know your worth. Would you like me to finish with the final part? Looking back now, I realize that this whole experience has changed me, probably forever. I used to be naive, trusting, maybe even a little too comfortable in my relationship. But now, I see how blind I was to the signs, how easily I let her manipulate the situation because I wanted to believe in us, in the life we built. That illusion is shattered, and honestly, I'm glad. It's better to see the truth than to live in false security. Getting betrayed like that cuts deep, but it also taught me a hard lesson. Never ignore the red flags and never settle for someone who doesn't respect you, no matter how much you think you love them. Love is about respect, honesty, and mutual trust. Without those, everything else crumbles. I wish I'd seen it earlier, but I also know that sometimes you have to go through the pain to come out stronger. Now I'm focused on rebuilding my life piece by piece. I've started dating again cautiously, and I'm learning to trust again slowly. It's not easy, and I still get flashbacks of her cheating and lying, but I remind myself every day that I am better than that. I deserve someone who appreciates me, who values my honesty, and who won't cheat behind my back. This whole ordeal has made me more cautious, more aware of what I want and what I won't accept. If Emily had been honest from the start, if she had just been truthful and respectful, maybe things would be different. But her betrayal proved to me that some people just aren't worth the time or energy. I've learned to listen to my instincts and to trust myself more. I also want to say this: don't let betrayal destroy you. Yes, it hurts like hell, but it's also an opportunity to grow. Sometimes you need to lose everything to realize what truly matters. I'm grateful for the lessons, even if they came at a painful price. I now know my worth, and I refuse to settle for anything less than honesty and respect. To anyone going through something similar, just remember that you're not alone. It hurts, it's raw, and it feels like the world is ending. But eventually, the pain lessens and you find a new sense of strength. Take your time to grieve, to heal, and then pick yourself up again. Because in the end, the only person who can truly save you is yourself. Trust that you're stronger than your pain and that better days are ahead. I'm finally at a point where I can look in the mirror and not hate what I see. I've learned what to look out for, and I know now that I won't accept betrayal again. That's the biggest lesson I'll carry forward. Life is too short to waste on people who don't value you. I lost my wife, but I gained a better understanding of myself. And honestly, that's worth more than any apology or explanation she could give. So, here I am, finally moving on, finally starting over. It's not the ending I wanted, but it's the beginning of something new. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I'll face it stronger, wiser, and more cautious. Because I've learned that some betrayals are just too big to forgive, and sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away.